Linda Taft. I am chair of the nominations committee, and I'll be the moderator for this evening. Toby is going to be acting as our timekeeper for the forum. She'll announce the time for each interval should a candidate reach their time limit. I would say if you haven't already done so, please mute your screens. And a reminder to our candidates to unmute yours when it's your turn to speak. So the forum will be 60 minutes in length. We'll begin with an introductory statement from each of our candidates on the ballot. Links to the candidate profiles were included in the newsletter and other messages that you've gotten from A&A Michigan. So I trust that you have all looked at those prior to this, but they are accessible. The introductory statements will be limited to 2 minutes each. And our timeline is tight, but we'll take a few minutes from the audience, a few questions from the audience if time allows at the end of the forum. So our candidates on the ballot include Secretary Nikea Davis. Now, I understand she got hung up at work this evening, I think was on call. So she's not able to join us at this time. If something changes, she said she was going to go ahead and try and get on. And for the treasurer position, we have Stacy Slater. And there are director, 2-year term, 2 positions. Our candidates there are Margaret Calarco, Tracy Connolly, Edie English, and Suzanne Keith. For director, 1-year term, also 2 positions. We have Catherine Donchie, Myrna Holland, and Bridget Leonard. For the newly licensed director, it's a 1-year term. Our candidates are Andrea Corey and Jamie Platt. We have nominations committee. We had no candidates for the 2-year term, and there were 2 positions. And for the 1-year term, we have 1 candidate, Mary Lou Keyser. And we also have a candidate for A&A Membership Assembly Representative. It's a 2-year term, and that's Stacy Slater. So with our introductory statements, we'll go in alphabetical order in each category through the ballot. When we move to the director positions, we'll go in reverse order. Our secretary, treasurer, nominations committee, and A&A membership representatives candidates are running unopposed. So in light of the changes to our board of directors composition, the representation and responsibilities, we'll be focusing on our director candidates for that part of our forum. So I am going to start at the top. I only have one that I don't recognize a number for, but I will assume at this point that Nikea has not been able to join us. If she joins during the call, we can always go back to an introductory statement for her. So our first candidate we'd like to hear the introductory statement from is Stacy Slater. She has currently been serving as treasurer with A&A Michigan on the board of directors. So welcome this evening, and if you'll unmute yourself and give your introductory statement, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, great. My introductory statement is basically to follow along the lines that I've already started at with treasurer of A&A. I really believe strongly about a future of A&A Michigan that involves maintaining a really strong financial status and monitoring of finances, continuing the transparency that we've started since I became treasurer about a year ago, making sure that the membership understands what we've got going on and what we're doing and getting their input. A successful organization requires, of course, a strong balance sheet, and I think what I said in my original write-up was that, to be forward-thinking, to be kind of thinking bigger and always wondering what's coming around the next bend. So that's what I'm moving towards and thinking about what's coming around, what's coming at us, what kind of things that we need to be prepared for as far as whether it's marketing or joining with other organizations, affiliations, things like that, those collaborative agreements, everything that needs to be addressed in the organization to keep us humming along where we want to be. We want to be able to provide, value programming, education, and leadership that members value in the organization. I feel like I've had a pretty good start, and I'd like to carry on with what I started. I also have a background not only at the bedside as a nurse, as an educator, and within hospital finance. I understand how reimbursement works. And again, the thought of, I can't say it enough, is the forward thinking and thinking bigger on what we want to be and where we want to go. Woo! 2 minutes.
Ooh,
Lucky me.
yes. She has those chimes ready for you. Well, thank you very much, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Okay. So now we have the director at large, just director positions, 2-year terms. There are 2 positions on the ballot. We have 4 candidates. We have Margaret Clarko, Tracy Conley, Edith English, and Suzanne Keep. And we'll start with an introductory statement from Margaret. You'll need to unmute. Yes.
I knew that was going to happen.
I know.
I'm Marge Calarco, and I'm the Director for Clinical Innovation at the University of Michigan School of Nursing. I've held that position for a few months now. Prior to that, I was the Chief Nurse Executive at the University of Michigan Health System for 17 years, and have been with the health system for more than 30 years in many different positions. While I've spent my career primarily at the health system across many different positions, as I said, I've really been doing most of the work with our nurses within the confines of the health system. So I'm interested in joining the ANA Michigan Board of Directors to really better understand nurses from across the state and to bring nurses together from across the state to do the things that we need to do for our profession. There's no better time than the present in healthcare to really tackle some of the challenges that nurses face across the state and actually across the country in the service of our patients and our families. We know we're the most trusted profession in the country, and we know that when people experience our care, they begin to understand what nursing care is all about. But society at large still doesn't understand the full range of nursing care and nursing science. And I think it's critically important for us to advocate for our science, for our profession, and to demonstrate in very tangible ways how to bring that care to the public and how we influence the public and healthcare. Healthcare, as you know, are going through many, many different challenges and changes, and our future really depends on us. So I welcome the opportunity to join the board and to join the membership in addressing some of those challenges in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And now we'll hear from Tracy Conley. And you'll need to unmute your speaker as well. There we go. Great. I could see you doing it.
Good evening, everybody. This is my first time running for a board position. I have been a nurse for 14 years. This is actually my second career. I was in advertising before I became a nurse, before I had kids. I have a master's of nursing from MSU, which is a dual degree CNS and nursing education. Bachelor's from Oakland, and I also went to Macomb Community College for my ADN. I'm certified as a AGCNS, which is an adult gerontology clinical nurse specialist, and a certified rehabilitation registered nurse. I currently work at RIM, which is part of the DMC, and I'm also an adjunct instructor at Macomb. I have been very active in ARN, both in Michigan ARN and National ARN, which is the Association of Rehabilitation Nurses. I'd like to broaden my focus and bring some of that experience to nurses in general, and to just be able to share my background with all nurses.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tracy. And now we'll hear from Edie English. You'll need to unmute.
It's all of us, I guess. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. So my name is Edie English, and I have been an active member of ANA Michigan for some time now. I actually became active back when we were RN AIM. And I've been fortunate enough to enjoy a role as somebody that represented Region 7 at the time when we had regions, and then transitioned myself to be on the more active in the state level. And I have enjoyed every minute of it for a couple of reasons. One, ANA is a recognized voice for Michigan. I've been able to share that in my career paths, which, gosh, back in 1990, I got my PSN from Michigan State. Went on many years later because I waited for time and money to happen, and that never happened. So went to Madonna for my master's degree, and spent 30 years of my career within the Oakwood/Beaumont system. And then very recently, I'm very happy to say that I am a director at Michigan Medicine. So Marge transitioned out of the hospital, I transitioned in. And I think what that has done for me is I've got a lot of colleagues in all of my different career travels, I guess you'd say. And I've been able to bring the ANA message to them. And as a director and in the new structure, I think I would do a good job on continuing that work. And kind of like Stacy said, I started it, and I'm eager to continue the good work we've achieved through ANA Michigan.
Wonderful. Okay. And now we'll hear from Suzanne Keith.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne Keith. I'm Associate Professor and Chair for the Pre-Licensure Program for Detroit Mercy in Grand Rapids. My background includes a BSN from Nazareth College, a Master's of Science in Nursing from Wayne State, and my PhD is from Rutgers. I'm originally from Detroit, but I've lived and worked as a nurse in 6 Michigan cities. I have nursing experience in the hospital, community setting, and in academia. I've been an ANA board member and Region 3 president. I've been actively involved not only in ANA, but in other nursing organizations as well, which I will describe later. Our nursing profession is changing, as well as healthcare and consumer needs are changing. So our ANA structure needed to have a new direction to reflect these changes. To move Michigan ANA forward, I believe that innovation and creativity are essential components in the new restructuring of Michigan ANA. Director positions are new positions and need to be crafted to meet the needs of the evolving roles of nursing, healthcare, and the ANA. As nurses, we have the largest group of health professionals. We outnumber physicians 3 to 1, yet our voice is not heard. We are underrepresented as experts in the news media, as recently reported by the Woodhull study from the George Washington University School of Nursing. It is time our voice is heard, and time we are at the table with our newly elected governor with representation at a cabinet level. I would be honored to be part of this dynamic change. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we have director 1-year terms. There's also 2 positions available. And we will start there with Catherine Donchie. Welcome, Kath.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning into the forum tonight. And I'll take a few minutes to talk a little bit about myself. I think I would be the best candidate for the director of the position for the ANA Michigan Board. I have provided nursing care in a variety of settings, starting my career in the hospital and transitioning to outpatient clinics as both a manager and a family nurse practitioner. Through these experiences, I've become familiar with a broad array of nursing roles. Presently, I am faculty at Michigan State University, where I've had the opportunity to work with graduate students and undergraduate students, as well as community preceptors. I'm the director of the DNP, which has been expanding my knowledge related to organizing and developing programs. Over the last 4 years, I've led an interdisciplinary grant initiative to support interprofessional education. This involved collaborating with physicians and PharmDs across the state. This experience has taught me a lot about leading a large group of individuals as well as managing a budget. I have served ANA Michigan as a Region 6 treasurer and more recently a president. During the last year, I've had the opportunity and experience of serving on the ANA Board of Directors. This has provided me with an understanding of the strategic initiatives of the organization, as well as an opportunity to work collaboratively with other members of the board and the ANA staff. I am also presently on the board of directors for the Primary Care Consortium, which is a statewide organization focused on providing quality primary care. Being on boards such as this has provided me with a new perspective about organizational decision-making and developing strategic initiatives. I've had the honor of meeting with and learning about nurses at a variety of levels of education and experience throughout my career. There's a common theme that nurses are always focused on providing quality patient care. ANA Michigan supports all levels of nurses and helps them to find common ground. I'm passionate about nursing, and I'm seeking your vote for the director of position of the ANA Board of Michigan.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just made it in under the wire there. All right. And let's see, Myrna would be next. Myrna Holland.
Okay. Thank you, Linda, and Happy New Year to all of you from up north in Elk Rapids. I've been a resident in rural Michigan for the past 15 years after my 35-year career in Metro Detroit. That included being a staff nurse, nursing faculty, staff development, director of med search. At times, that incorporated inpatient rehab and psych. I've been the director of quality assurance, which transitioned to quality assessment, to quality improvement, to performance improvement. We're not at a loss for words. Since being up north, my volunteer roles, particularly those with the Northern Health Plan Board and with Munson's Healthcare Advocacy Committee, have helped me appreciate the special challenges of providing healthcare in rural Michigan. I also want to take time to elaborate on my written answer for about the issues facing ANA Michigan. There are many priorities, but I think critical to our overall success is, first of all, continued membership growth. We need to be sure that our changes are propelling that growth and that we are creating a nursing culture that, as one of my colleagues said, I'm a professional. Of course I need to belong to my professional organization. Also, we need to use our cachet of nursing being the most trusted professionals over the last 17 years to ensure that nurses and ANA Michigan are sought out to provide input and answers to healthcare issues. Organizationally, we need to be certain we have the tools to assist nurses to have the confidence to step forward and to speak up, knowing that their experience is backed with accessible data and that they're not alone. I think that our new committee structure and bylaws are designed to help do this. After I drafted these comments, I received a copy of our strategic plan, and I was really excited to see it fit so closely with what I believe we need to be doing. Your vote would allow me to participate in that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Myrna. Great. All right. And it appears, unless I'm missing it somewhere, that Bridget has not been able to join us this evening. So we will move then to the newly licensed director position. It's a one-year term. We have two candidates, Andrea Corey and Jamie Platt. And we'll hear first from Andrea Corey.
Hi, thank you, Linda. So my name is Andrea Corey, and I am a medical ICU nurse at Henry Ford in Detroit. Taking a non-traditional path to nursing. This is actually my third career, if you can believe it. When I got out of high school, my mom had told me, you should be a nurse. And I said, okay. So I started taking some classes, and being somebody who didn't want to listen to mommy's advice, I decided to try something a little different. Ended up getting a bachelor in textile and apparel from Western Michigan University. I dabbled in that career for a little bit and just didn't quite feel right. Then I went on to be a licensed esthetician a few years later and dabbled in that. And Lord knows I do love the spa, but it still just did not seem like a really good fit for me. Something was just missing. And then just a few years ago, I went to nursing school. And immediately it felt like a glove. It fit me. I felt very passionate about it. I graduated from Henry Ford with my ADN in December 2017. And then I went on and got my bachelor from U of M Flint, and I graduated in August of 2018, so just a few months ago. When I was in the classroom setting, I was very much involved with all things in my profession that I could be. I was on the student faculty committee. I was an officer in my chapter's S&A. I was a peer mentor, and I was also on the curriculum committee. I also joined the Michigan Nursing Student Association, and I have been on their board of directors for the past 2.5 years, the last 2 of which I have served, luckily, as their president. In the hospital at the bedside, it just seems to flourish even more. I am the co-chair of our Recognition and Retention Committee. I am the chair of our Service Excellence Committee. I've been a preceptor for both externs, students, and then getting my very first nurse to precept in just a few weeks. And I'm on the honor guard as well as the special pathogens unit, which it sounds kind of gross, but it's actually really cool. So the whole full circle to this is, thanks, Mom. I should have listened to her back in the day, and I found my niche. This is where I belong. I'm clearly thriving and enjoying what I'm doing. Can't thank Mom enough. So thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you. And now we'll hear from Jamie Platt.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Platt. I'm really excited for this opportunity to join ANA Michigan as a board member. A brief introduction about myself. I really have the best job in the world as a mom of 3 little ones. And then I also have the second best job in the world. And I was really fortunate enough to start my career off at Spectrum Health. I am from the Grand Rapids area. I work at Zeeland Community Hospital and Gerber Memorial Hospital on their family birth centers as a labor and delivery and postpartum nurse. I also work for the Michigan Breastfeeding Network as their continuing education consultant. So I am applying for continuing education for nurses, social workers, and lactation. And then I also run my own business. It's called Grand Rapids Birth and Postpartum Services. So I provide birth and postpartum doula services, lactation counseling, childbirth education. As you can see, providing families the support they need through birth and pregnancy and then into the postpartum period is something I really, really love. What I also really, really love is to be involved in organizations that have a really clear mission and that lead the way in changing healthcare, and ones that provide community support. I enjoy taking on leadership positions that create a positive impact on my community and professions, such as ANA Michigan. As part of my introductory statement, I'd really like to address our country and state's dismal maternal mortality rates, especially for women of color. There are persistent racial disparities that exist in pregnancy-related deaths in Michigan, which show that Black women die at a rate of 4.5 times higher than non-Hispanic white women. So if our organization has not thoroughly addressed this issue already, I would really hope that a task force could be put together to see what our state and our organization can do to improve these rates. Someone really needs to listen to these women, and something should be done now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, our next position here would be for Nominations Committee, and that will be our candidate, Mary Lee Pekieser.
And good evening, everybody. Again, I'm here from northern Michigan, where there's kind of snow. Anyway, I'm running unopposed, so I'm going to keep my comments very short because I really want to hear everybody else, because this is very exciting to do this kind of candidate profile. So I've been involved with the American Nurse Association for 47 years. I've had the opportunity to be in several leadership positions, and currently I sit on the ANA Board of Directors. The reason why I want to be on the nominations committee is I want to get the next generation primed and ready to take over the association, so a lot of us can just retire and send little notes saying you did a great job. It's important to get our millennials involved and get them active. Stacy Slater just sent out recently an article about how we engage our younger generation, and one of it is to get them in and to get them connected right away. I think helping them find out where they want to fit within our association is important, helping them with leadership opportunities, and the most important thing is for those of us in leadership is to not only keep the doors open, but block those doors open so that our younger colleagues can succeed and move even beyond us. So that's why I want to be on nomination. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. And then we have for ANA Membership Assembly Representative is Stacy Slater. If you have any additional comments, you're more than welcome at this time.
Yeah, sure. Well, it wasn't my intent to run unopposed for two slots here, but oh well, here I am. And I was talking to Mary Lee a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I really want to be part of Membership Assembly, but I don't want to give up the momentum I've got going. And here I am, guess what? But be that as it may, to reflect what Mary Lee was saying, I am such a strong proponent of being in education at the moment, which is what my goal was since I started my nursing journey, is I just want nursing students to see how important it is to be a part of your professional organization. Had it not been for RNA and my instructor, I wouldn't be here at ANA Michigan right now. And part of membership assembly is also the fact that we've got to be represented. I'm hoping our membership numbers go up, that we get more representation allotted to us, but at the time, I would just be thrilled to be a part of this situation and go to Washington, listen to all these things, find out what's going on, bring it back to the membership. And also for me, the biggest part is role modeling this for our students. That is my #1 goal, is the role modeling of stewardship for our nursing students. And like everyone else, so we can all retire and send nice thank you notes. So thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Jamie, for being here.
Definitely. Thank you. And I just wanted to reiterate, that this is being taped this evening, so it will be available to other members who would like to, review the statements and that were made. And so I'm so glad that pretty much our entire slate was able to join us and participate in this. So now, in light of the changes to our board of directors, the composition, representation, and responsibilities, we'll be focusing our next question with our director candidates in the next part of our forum. We've eliminated our regional structures, those serving in the director's roles were served more in an at-large capacity, representing the entire membership. So all director candidates, including our newly licensed director candidates, will be asked to respond to the following question, and they were given this question ahead of time. In view of our recent governance restructuring, what experience and qualities would you bring to this position to enhance our transition? Please share how you would apply these skills as a member of the board. Again, we have a 2-minute time limit. Toby will have the chimes available should you run over. And we will begin this time in reverse order. So first up for the 2-year director term would be Suzanne Keefe.
Thank you. So in response to the question related to our recent governance restructuring, I'll explain my experience and qualities that I bring to the director position to enhance the transition. So my leadership experience includes that I've been a board of director member and Region 3 president of Michigan ANA for the past year. And in that role, I planned educational meetings with CEUs for nurses. That's something that I think that I would continue as director. And I've also been the first nurse to be on the Pine Rest Foundation Board, which is a psychiatric hospital, and then I was elected to the Pine Rest Hospital Board. And so again, learning with the strategic planning and governance, I would bring that to this director position as well. I've also been board member for the past several years with Michigan Public Health Association and Michigan Public Health Association Nursing Section. I've been chair for the Education Committee planning our yearly conference. I've been chair of that, so again, that would be helpful in this director position. Other leadership positions that I've had included program director of Hospice of Kalamazoo, program director at U of M Flint. I'm currently chair of the pre-licensure program for the BSN program and past chair of the BSN completion program in Grand Rapids. So my important thing is that I work with students to help them be successful. And then once they are successful and they graduate and become nurses, I'm also involved with them in the hospital. We are planning a mentoring program. We have one in the undergrad program, and then we're going to have one as they transition into being a nurse. I also have the unique experience of working in academia and institutions like Mercy Health and Spectrum and in the public health setting, and currently I'm a part of the Regional Perinatal Alliance. I've collaborated with many colleagues on research projects from other institutions, and I would bring that forth with me in collaborating with others on the board. So I've been chair of many committees, and most recently I've been on the board committee to craft a letter to the governor to show our importance of nursing and what we can bring to the table. So the qualities I would bring is that I'm really passionate about nursing. I'm a collaborator. I'm a community person at heart, so relationships are very important to me. And I'm comfortable in any setting working with nurses of all backgrounds. I believe in this role, it's important to connect with nurses in various roles throughout the whole state, upper and lower peninsulas, and to understand the issues facing the nurses and what's important to them. I really do embrace change. I'm flexible and I'm a team player. I enjoy matching gifts and talents of individuals with issues that are presented to problem solve and be innovative and creative. I'm committed to working on advancing the nursing practice for achieving the title. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my bells were, I hit silent.
I was just about done anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Now we'll hear from Edie English.
And I unmuted this time. Thank you. So thinking about qualities, I think everybody in this room, this reminds me of the Brady Bunch, the beginning of the Brady Bunch show.
Little tiles.
Right? Everybody here is very passionate, or we probably wouldn't be here, right? So the other qualities I bring to the table, and maybe a little bit different from those in academia or public health, is my director roles in director of nursing allowed me the opportunity to be a director of acute care, emergency department, care management, and acute care inpatient, and on top of mental health and rehab, and currently in utilization management. So I feel I have a good grasp on those aspects of nursing. And I think back to our strategic plan, and I think our role as leaders in ANA Michigan is to really see that through, and thinking about the things that as an organization we've decided are our pillars for our strategic plan in leadership. One of the things that we discuss is offering opportunities for networking and consumer awareness. And I have to say I appreciate that Marge mentioned in her opening comments that that we have a lot of work to do in having consumers really understand the role of nursing and our future of nursing. One of our pillars for the strategic plan is organizational viability. And organizational viability to me means touching all generations of nursing. That's something I think if I sit back and think about my career, probably the feather in my cap has been being able to onboard and mentor new nurses. I imagine many of you can say the same thing in your career. You think back about the people that you hired and nurtured, and then you see them that stand on their own 2 feet. So knowing that supports, that's one of our pillars. I believe I bring to the table a lot of experience in that. Another one of our pillars is membership value. Oh man, Toby, not seriously.
Just 2 minutes fly by.
I don't believe it. I look forward to the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Tracy Conley.
Sorry, I had to unmute there.
Yes.
The experience that I bring, I've already mentioned some of my committee work with ARN and Michigan ARN. I've helped write test questions for the certification exam, traveled and done quite a bit of work with that organization. I attend quite a few conferences and try to keep up to date on new information in nursing. I was the secretary of ANA Region 7, or Michigan Region 7 for the last year. So I got to meet a lot of different people in that role and learn what it means to be part of this organization. I'm also, as I mentioned, an instructor from Macomb Community College, so that's kept me abreast of what's going on with education in Michigan, or nursing education. And I need to stay current with evidence-based practice in order to teach, both in that role and my role as a CNS. I also help to run my husband's optometry practice a little bit, so I understand the ins and outs of insurance, and I know about marketing. I do handle all his marketing. In the CNS role, I wear multiple hats every day. I work with patients, families, other nurses, other disciplines, administrators. So I'm very good at interdisciplinary work. As far as how I will apply these skills as a member of the board, I hope to use my experience to help advocate for nursing both within Michigan and across the country, with the political action committees, with marketing, and with educational activities. I'm really, my soapbox is to help nurses to really speak up. You know, as other people have said, we're the most trusted profession. There are many, many of us in number, yet very few people really know what nurses do on a day-to-day basis, all the different careers that are available within nursing. We just need to do a much better job advocating for ourselves.
Okay. Thank you. I hear the chimes in the background. So now we will hear from Margaret Calarco.
Hi, everybody. During my leadership career, I've had many opportunities to lead many transitions and restructuring, from the restructuring of patient care units and divisions in my role as Director of Psychiatric Nursing in my distant past, to the restructuring of several departments and the entire nursing community at the University of Michigan Health System in my Chief Nurse Executive role. But any successful transition or restructuring, whether big or small, first requires a clarity of purpose and the reason for the change, clear principles that guide the change, active listening, engaging people closest to the work and the process, and continuous evaluation and communication with the community being served. I bring these skills to ANA Michigan and to the transition, but most importantly, I bring an understanding that change, no matter how right it is or no matter how welcome, impacts the people it touches. Even when changes are good ones, for good reasons, people may feel a loss of the old and some concern or trepidation with the new or unknown. And I'll try to understand what these dynamics may be for individuals involved and for the larger community. My strongest leadership skills are my clarity of values and my desire to be a servant leader. I have the ability to listen carefully to diverse groups and opinions and to bring people together to envision possibilities and opportunities that they may not have thought of as a single person or a single group. And as a new board member, should I be elected, I would work to listen carefully to the aspirations of each board member and to the aspirations of our members across the community so that I would help envision how we could work together in innovative ways to achieve our goals. The restructuring of the ANA Michigan organization was based on the desire to become more efficient, but more importantly, to break down perceived barriers to access to the organization by eliminating regions and enabling the entire membership to have input and to vote in the election of their officers and directors. And these principles of inclusion and inviting diversity are very important principles underlying these changes, which I fully support. As I said, there is no better time than the present to come together across the state to tackle the challenges of our profession as well as create innovation solutions to the healthcare of the public we serve. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And now we will hear from our candidates for the director one-year term. There are 2 positions available. We would start with Bridget Leonard, but she has been unable to join us. So we will now hear from Myrna Holland.
Well, after 50 years as an RN, I've been on a lot of transition teams, and I'm used to dealing with a lot of change. And I think I can bring some wisdom from that experience, those experiences, to the board. And finding ways to reduce resistance, to evaluate effectiveness, and to make necessary adaptations. Those transitions that I've been involved with have varied from hospital mergers to actually introducing and teaching nursing process to faculty, to creating a professionally integrated inpatient rehab staff, and to being a founding member of RNAIM and watching our growth, working with our growth. As I said earlier, I'm excited about our strategic plan, and now comes the hard work of determining priorities, managing the resources, and establishing action plans to execute those strategies. I think my background as a director and in performance improvement training and in leading and in participating in PI teams can be valuable in the execution of our strategic plan and identifying how the revised bylaws support its achievement. The membership has to be involved in the implementation process. The board's responsible to the membership and staff to establish policies that set the parameters to get the work done. Member participation in task forces and committees with regular and specific communication to and from the board will be critical to meet our vision. I think I have an understanding of policy development and the communication skills needed to support that process. I listen and I value networking and the contributions of team members. I'm willing to ask the hard questions of how, when, who, and what resources are required for the task at hand. Also, my involvement in politics as a candidate and an advocate and a campaigner has provided me with some skills and perspectives that I think can help us to continue to succeed as an organization. Politics also requires passion and the ability to find compromises that will move us forward. I've been committed and passionate about ANA for a long time, and I'd be gratified to have your support to fulfill our mission.
Thank you, Myrna. All right. And next we'll hear from Catherine Donchie.
Hi, the governance restructuring of ANA Michigan is an exciting opportunity. My experience as a member of the board during this transition has allowed me to have a clear understanding of the rationale and the need for the changes. I have had a variety of leadership roles which provide me with expertise to lead teams of health professionals from across the state, and I would bring this expertise to the role of the director on the board. As past president of Sigma Theta Tau Alpha Psi chapter, I worked with a variety of constituents to grow the chapter and to reach out to individuals who had previously not been engaged. I would work with ANA Michigan board to address the challenges and opportunities that comes with the reorganization of the committees and the governance structure. One of these changes is more emphasis on being able to respond to issues quickly as they arise. A strategy the board has come up with is the use of task forces to deal with short-term needs. ANA Michigan has already begun using this strategy in the form of a task force that I am participating on to respond to Governor Whitner's health policy agenda. The qualities I possess that will help to enhance my role as director include commitment and passion for nursing. I would work to achieve the goals of ANA Michigan through implementing the strategic plan. One of the 4 pillars in this policy is policy influence. ANA Michigan aspires to be the voice for all nurses within the state and for ANA nurses to be at the table with local, state, and public officials. Another quality that I have is accountability. As a director on the board of ANA Michigan, I would hold all members and on the organization to being accountable for implementing the changes proposed. This includes being fiscally sound and finding ways to not only increase our membership, but to engage members with the organization's strategic initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And next, we will go with our newly licensed director. Same question. We'll begin with Jamie Platt.
Hi, everyone. So I do have quite a bit of leadership experience that will help me transition into this role. I'm already serving ANA Michigan on their nursing practice and bylaws committees. I chair Kent County's Breastfeeding Coalition. I was appointed to Grand Valley State University's Young Alumni Council, and then I serve on the board of directors for my local Sigma Theta Tau chapter. Last year, I finished a year-long term with the National Student Nurses Association as chair of the Nominating and Elections Committee, and I'm the only recent graduate in Michigan to serve at the national level. While in school, I was elected to 2 terms for the Michigan Nursing Students Association and served as president for Grand Valley State Student Nurses Association for 5 semesters. I really delved into community work and volunteering, and while I was in school, I was one of 7 students in Michigan chosen for the Michigan Campus Compact Outstanding Community Impact Award for the depth and breadth of my volunteer work. So through these various positions, I have gained the expertise and confidence needed to lead a group of people toward a common goal and working as a team to achieve that goal. I've served on local, state, and national boards, which has given me unique perspectives on how to communicate with other board members and an organization's members, no matter where they live. I have a lot of experience in public speaking, diffusing conflicts, following bylaws and policies and procedures. So there was a lot of pressure serving at the national level, and there were some very intense moments running a national election. So I had to conduct myself in a professional manner because I represented the National Student Nurses Association, Michigan, my school, and my own morals and values. And I know that I would represent ANA Michigan in the same professional manner. Thanks.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Andrea Corey.
Hi again. So I think this is a really great new position. I think it's a great forward thinking, I believe Stacy Slater said that, way of looking at the new generation that's coming in behind us. So I just read this really great article from the NCBI. It was from October of just last year, so it's fairly recent. And it said that there's 1 million nurses in our country right now that are 50 years of age and older. So that's 1/3 of the workforce that's going to be retiring in the next 10 to 15 years. So that leaves us with 2/3. That's a huge chunk of people. And that's not even counting the newly and the younger ones that are coming up right behind them. So the newer and younger nurses, they respond to leaders who offer themselves as mentors and coaches rather than superiors and bosses. Just a different way of thinking and a different way of approaching situations than maybe the traditional hierarchy has in the past. So clearly from my previous statement, I have a passion and enthusiasm for nursing as I've been involved in additional and numerous groups outside of the classroom and in the bedside setting. So to enhance ANA's transition into the recent governance restructuring, I can offer engagement, meaning providing opportunities and insights along with committed support to my soon-to-be and newly licensed colleagues. This is my little soapbox, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. There are nurses and nursing students, seasoned and brand new. They don't understand or even know the organizations available, the issues at hand, or the opportunities that they may be able to have within their reach. Just today, I was at a committee meeting and I got on my soapbox about, we just had elections. Do you know who your local representatives are? No? Here's some links. Check them out. They want to hear from you. It's so important for us as nurses to have that seat at the table. And I believe it was Carol Stacy who told me one time, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. So if us nurses can't step up and be that role model that we need for the future generations, we're kind of going to be stuck in the same spot for a while. So again, I appreciate the opportunity, and good luck to everybody.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for all your comments and insights in response to our question. And I really apologize. I'm noticing as I'm watching, there's kind of an optical illusion with my striped top. So I apologize if I'm making anybody a little crazy there with that. So for our final part of the questioning, we are going to hear again from our newly licensed director candidates. These candidates, it's a newly created position for nurses that have been in practice less than 5 years, and clearly the board previously had felt that it was very important to set aside even a particular seat, sort of following ANA's lead on this as well, to really have a direct connection back there. So we do have an additional question for both Jamie and Andrea. As a newly licensed nurse with less than 5 years experience, how do you see your role in this position to enhance the communication and support of our newly licensed nurses? And we will start with Jamie. Jamie, you just went first, so we'll go with Andrea first this time. I'm sorry, I reversed them. So Andrea, you'll be first.
All right, thank you. So something, like I mentioned, I've been on the board of Michigan Nursing Student Association, and in years, the past like handful of years, like about 6 or 7 years, they've kind of struggled to fill the 9 positions that are on our board that we elect every January, excuse me, at our convention. So we started diving into that a little bit more, and we thought, it's huge. Like, this is like, we have a big state, we have upper and lower. So how do we bridge that gap? So this upcoming election, which is just next week for MNSA, we are offering the opportunity to use Zoom. So we don't have to be in person at meetings. You can still connect. You can have these face-to-face interactions and have a productive board. So that was a big obstacle we were finding why people were not interested in running, as well as not getting the support they needed from their faculty to maybe work with their clinical schedule and have the time off. So we drafted some letters. We sent them out to the, I apologize if I butcher this, the Macon and McNeil chairs. I think I did that right. Okay. They offered their support as well. So hopefully we're going to turn things around and really just reach out to our constituents to kind of build that up. So that was it's actually quite a cool experience, and I'm really excited to hand off the gavel in a few weeks. So providing information constantly on a data sharing platform versus email is also something that really speaks to the millennial and the younger generations. they're not very email, like it's something they have to do. It's not something they like to do. They like to use the cloud. They like to use the Google Drives, and so let's share and let's collaborate that way. Empowering newly licensed RNs to be involved with our chosen profession by developing leadership skills. This is all about what I said previously. They don't know. They are not aware of what's available to them, and they need to. They frankly need to. If we don't have a seat at the table, we're on the menu. So encouraging mentorship programs and committees in the workplace to connect newer and seasoned RNs in an open format. I have a few. We just started a mentorship program on my unit, and it's going great. I consider it like having an assigned buddy, and she's now one of my really favorite people to work with. And, we talk to each other. Oh, dang. Well, thanks anyway, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. And Jamie, we'll now hear from you.
Sure. So some of the responsibilities of this position is to ensure that the association assesses the needs of its members and of the profession, and that I would contribute perspective and information to reflect the needs of nurses that are early in their nursing careers. So personally, I went from serving at a national level to trying to find how I could serve in professional organizations. And prior to the bylaw changes that were just added for this particular board position, I had even emailed Carol Stacy asking, how can I get involved with ANA Michigan? I joined ANA's mentorship program in hopes of also finding answers to my question, how can I get more involved? So clearly there's a need for more leadership opportunities for new nurses. And then on the other hand, there are also a lot of newer nurses that just want to orient to their new job, feel comfortable, expand their clinical skills, and that's great as well. So we really need to delve into what the majority of new nurses are looking for. Perhaps it's looking at a discounted membership rate for recent grads, speaking to more students about the value of ANA Michigan and other professional organizations while they're still in school, being present at more career fairs, starting a mentorship program. When I served as president at Grand Valley, we always had separate membership meetings for incoming students, and then we'd survey our older students asking them, hey, what's going well in our organization? What can we improve on? And as a board, we always made sure that every single member felt valued, no matter how involved they were. And in turn, we were able to increase our committee participation by over 100%, and we had more than 100 people serving on committees. So I know that I can take what I've learned in the various positions and apply them to this role. I am lucky enough through these various positions to know many nurses throughout the state of Michigan and our country, and can really bring back everyone's perspectives and information to the board so that we can achieve our 2019 strategic goal, which is maintaining and growing our membership base, which really starts at bringing in new. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, now we've moved through our questions. We do have time for just maybe one or two questions from the audience. Whether you're as a candidate or not, if you have a specific question, you would need to unmute your speaker to participate. Do we have any questions for any of our candidates or in general?
Linda, this is Jeanette, and I have a question. While I would address it to our new nurse candidates, others certainly could feel free to jump in. I think one of the difficult areas when entering nursing practice and as part of organizations is conflict management. We don't always agree on everything, and sometimes things go awry. So I would be interested to hear from our two new nurse candidates what experience they may have had in difficult or conflictual situations, and how they manage through it. Thank you.
Sure, I can start. I think no matter whether you're part of a professional or student organization or at work, there will always be times of conflict. I really do feel it's best to directly go to that person first and try to resolve that conflict. You know, if you're in a work situation, then of course, if that doesn't work, then you would need to go to your manager. But in a professional organization as well, I think it's best to look at your policies and procedures and your bylaws, making sure you're following them. and then trying to work things out in a professional manner so that you can continue to move forward and work together to achieve, the goals of your organization.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other responses? Andrea, if you wanted to speak, it was directed at newly licensed director candidates.
Yeah, thank you. I would have to concur wholeheartedly with Jamie. I think when boards and committees and whatnot, they have these rules of governance and conduct, and when you sign on for a position, you need to achieve goals, and they're here for a reason. There's a lot of gray area, which is for a good reason. You don't want to have a whole lot of black and white. There's not a lot of room for interpretation. But when you follow through, let's say that there is a conflict and you have these governing documents that support what your decision making should be based on whatever conflict it may be, it's a nice roadmap to have to be able to know that you're making the right decision and to be confident about it. I would also add too that it's a little difficult with the rumor mills, especially in units and whatnot, and you hear all these conflicting reports of, well, I heard this, and it's just better to go right to the person, or just say, how can I support you? Kind of squash it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Well, I really want to thank all of our candidates for their participation and for those members that have come on to listen and take notes as well. I'd like to thank my fellow nominations committee members, Joan Bix, Sally Decker, Janine Easterday, and Jeanette Klemzak, as well as our thanks to Toby for acting as our timekeeper tonight, amongst her many other responsibilities. So, unless we have any other questions, we are right at the 8 o'clock mark. I'm glad that we were able to keep this very timely. Any closing commentary from anyone else? If not,
I just want